This young lady, I'm so happy. You know what they say, family, family, family. We can't pick our family. We can't pick our friends that could become family. She's family. She's family. Can we just say that she's family? She's a mother. She's a grandmother. She's a regional vice president at ACN. She's a community leader. She was a wife to Tony, who was an incredible man. I had some time to spend on a cruise about a year ago in December. We hung out and had dinner on a cruise. That's powerful. All ACN. You guys need to qualify for these cruises they're giving away. All these trips ACN getting away. Y'all didn't qualify for this stuff. Man, we're going to have a good time. Have a great time. She's also cares about people. She's a coach. Yes, sir. She's an author. Oh, wow. She's an influencer. She's a friend of mine. And last but not least, the first should be last, the last should be first. We all love her. Let's give her a great round of applause to none of the regional vice president, Miss Jocelyn Driskill.
Good morning. Well, I'm grateful to be here. Thank you, Mr. Thomas, so much for that kind introduction. You say such kind things, but I know they come from your heart, and you mean everything that you ever say comes out of that mouth of yours. So I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate being able to be here and share on this platform that you give us all. It's a gift. Please count every single thing that we get from Mr. Thomas a blessing, and he does this every single day of the week. It's phenomenal. So I am so grateful that we're able to be able to put people on this, and they can learn from the top leaders in this company every single day. So there is no excuses. I love Mr. Thomas, how he points that out, almost everything that he says. No excuse. Miss Akinko, you guys having 6 people coming to Orlando. No excuses for us, that's for sure. So Mr. Thomas, again, thank you. I can't say enough about you, what you mean to Tony and I and our family. From day one in ACN, we'd run into you, you'd give us 5, 10, 30, an hour, even buy us lunch sometimes. You're just so gracious in your time with people, because we were new back then. But you know what? We wanted to soak up everything we could from everyone that was having the success. And Mr. Thomas was on the top of that list. And he's still here and shows up every single day for us. So I'm just grateful for you. You are the king. So the king of hearts. So I am grateful. And I'm ready and excited to be here. Yes, last week was a bit emotional, but it was, I think, chock full of what a lot of people needed to hear. I think a lot of you soaked it up. How many of you took the notes and applied some of that this week? I see some hands. I love it. I'm going to actually recap just a little bit of what we talked about, because I'm going to continue this conversation, because I think it's really, really important, of really getting it deep in our spirit and our heart to really prepare the plan. And what was my topic last week? What if? What if tomorrow isn't promised, because it's not? What if you only knew you had what if you knew you had 24 hours? What would you do with it? What if you knew you had 6 months or maybe a year? Because some people do have that when they get diagnosed with, obviously cancer can take you in a short amount of time. My dad was diagnosed in March of 2013 and passed in June of 2013. So he had 4 months. So that happens, right? That happens in this world. And all of you know, many of maybe there's someone new here today that didn't hear the message last week. I'd highly recommend going back to the channel and taking a look at it and listening and taking notes and going back and doing what I'm going to talk about again today, because I really feel we're missing it. We're missing what life can give us. Are we really ready for what is to come? Because this world brings us zingers, some worse than others. But are you prepared? Is your family prepared? Are your friends prepared? But more importantly, have you lived the life that you want to live? Like, have you really put that into action? Do you have time and do you have money to spend with your family and your friends as often as you want, whenever you want, wherever you want? If the answer is no, We got more planning and preparing and doing and taking action and being consistent in it so that we can have a well-lived life. How many of you want a well-lived life? Because what I will tell you is, yeah, right? Hands, feet, bring them up. Um, a well-lived life and no regrets, because this is what I didn't share last week. I can sit here today, only 6 months later, losing the love of my life and my best friend, and not be bawling and out of my mind. Why? Because we lived a well-lived life together and we lived with no regrets. Nothing undone, nothing unsaid, didn't go to bed mad, had the hard conversations, all of those things that we have talked about last week. We did it. And so for me, if I can stand here today and tell you I had no regrets, I can't cry over a no regret because my husband and I had that type of life. I want you to have that because that is such a great feeling to have when you're moving forward in life and life hits you. Now, I can say the only regrets that we do have is the dreams we were planning ahead, right? The things we were preparing and planning together ahead of us. That's not really a regret because guess what? This girl is going to live out that legacy. This girl is not going to drop the ball and let the legacy go because something major and catastrophe happened in our family. No, this girl is going to make sure that legacy is honored. What was started will be finished. And if I'm still here, God's not done. I want you to feel that same way no matter what this life brings you. So, what did we talk about? Now, I'm going to always stand from a position of a kingdom entrepreneur. Mr. Thomas knows exactly what that is. We have dived into that piece of being an entrepreneur in life for the kingdom. And that is a different way of being. We talk about the way of being, and being that way and focused on that has been such a powerful thing from my life for the last 5 years. That's why I'm here today. That's how I can have these conversations today, because I dived in and did the hard stuff that I needed to do to work on myself as I continue to do it every single day. So I'm going to always come from a perspective from the kingdom ways and as a kingdom entrepreneur in business. Okay. We're going to have business conversations, but it's always going to involve God in the center for me. So I will never be apologetic for that. So please know I'm always going to come from that space and my heart. So we talked about the question, what if? I threw a lot of questions at you guys last week, did I not? Right? So I'm actually going to put these glasses on so I can read. Of course, I have my notebook and all the things that we talked about and asked. But what if in the next 24 hours, your whole world has turned you upside down? Because maybe you lost someone like I did, my husband, my love, my best friend. And it literally was a tidal wave across our family because he made an impact on our nieces and nephews who will consider him as a dad. They even spoke that at his celebration of life, that they considered him a mentor and a father figure to them. So there's a lot of impact that happened when Tony was killed. So what in the next 24 hours, what if your world was turned upside down, what would that be like for you? Because of the plan. Did you prepare it, right? How would that look for you? Has the plan been prepared? Not even realizing, see, I shared that last week, not even realizing Tony and I prepared this plan, right? We didn't know what was coming, but having all the different things in place, and I talked about not just finances, but when you can create finances that create time, that's what ACN can bring to you, right? Are you working diligently and consistently on ACN every day around the nooks and crannies of whatever else you're doing to prepare that plan of time and money? Because that's where you're going to get the well-lived life and no regrets, because you can have both instead of one or the other. Most people, like I asked the question, how many of you have enough time to do what you want to do when you want to do it? Well, people who don't have money sometimes have more time, right? And if you don't, how many of you have enough money to do what you want to do when you want to do it? Well, if you have enough money, it's usually because you don't have enough time because you're working all the time, right? So ACN, when we saw this in 2009, we understood the power of bringing those two together with residual income. And we had a crazy life back then, facing losing everything, but we chiseled at ACN to build that residual income that would create. And so Tony and I saw that in 2009, and we kept chiseling. So we were continuing to prepare the plan. Hence why you see I have two Vivint clients, an impact client. Even in the midst of my tragedy, I'm still working ACN. It's never left here, right? Because if I'm still here, God's not done, and I'm not an SVP. I don't have where the legacy hasn't finished. And again, I don't believe you're ever finished until you've gone to heaven. So you got to keep doing, keep serving. So preparing the plan, whether it's financially, we talked about putting in place. I don't know how people do it that don't have that, but also don't maybe have a trust in place, don't have life insurance, don't have multiple streams of income, maybe investments. Like, what are those things that are missing that you should be diving into? Because I can tell you, when you have assets, and if you have to sell them, at least you have them. They're paid for. You're not making payments on them. I have a debt-free life except my house. I have properties, I have all these different things because Tony and I prepared the plan, and it really began in our marriage 25 years ago, but ACN ignited that plan. 1000% ACN ignited all of other pieces that we have today. So what are you doing consistently to prepare the plan? What are you building? What and who are you investing in? Are you investing in you? Are you investing in you? Your legacy, your future, chiseling at it, having a thriving life, not a surviving life. And at the end, can you say with your whole heart, there's no regrets? If you can't say that today, we got to do something, right? We got to do something. So there's a quote that I have sitting up in my kitchen in California, and it says, find something or someone you would die for and live for it. Find something or someone that you would die for, but go live for it. What is that? I didn't share that last week, and I wanted to get that to you this week. I also talked about Tim McGraw's Live Like You Were Dying. Listen to that song. It's a good one. He also sings Standing Room Only, which is what it looks like at the end of your life. Who's there? Who have you impacted? What difference have you made? That's really important. What's your purpose? Because preparing the plan, it's also God's plan. What's the purpose he has for your life? What have you not stepped into? And what did I say last week? More yeses, less nos. Like, you're trying to receive a lot of yeses with your invitations and getting customers, right? You're out there going to try to get yeses. But if you're saying more nos, who are you going to attract? People who say no, right? So you want to be saying yes to more things. And I'm going to share something at the end today that's about saying yes to more things. Like I said, if you're still here, God's not done. There's so much more to do. So then I asked all of you to write some things down. So I left you with this last week. So the one thing I did say, God's work is his, but we have a lot of work to do, don't we? Don't we? How many of you would say you have a lot of work to do? Things that you haven't done, things that you've just put off, the procrastination, which is the killer. My mom now used to tell me when I was younger, don't keep the manana mentality going, right? Tomorrow, tomorrow, tomorrow. Now my mom today uses that. Manana. I'll do it to manana, but she's 85, so that's okay. My dad and her prepared the plan. They have a great life, and she's able to live a great life because of my mom and dad doing what I'm talking about today. I had a great example in my family for sure. So we do have a lot of work to do. So I said, write down 10 things you need to do today if you knew tomorrow was the last. And I have a few people that I know did that. How many of you actually did what I had asked you and sent you off to do that day? Okay. Well, I'm happy to see the hands, because I think when you write it down, you can see it. And when you can look at it every day, you can apply it and take charge of your life. So, and then I said, then write down the 10 things you must do to step into what God needs you to do to prepare the plan for your purpose, and then preparing it for your family, your spouse, you personally, your kids, whatever that looks like in the next 6 months, like the final rest of the year. What do you need to do so next year is better? Because August, you should be preparing, I believe, now for January 2024. What is that? What is that going to look like? What are those 10 things? So if I can actually have, I know, Jabri, I mentioned this to you. I would like someone, Regional Director Anita Eno and top executive Winston Herbert have graciously said they would share some of their things. I would love for them to share. If there's anybody else that would like to share, I would love that too, because I think it will give some of you who haven't done it an idea of what it looks like. So 10 things you need to do today. So if you didn't do it last week, do it today. If you knew tomorrow was your last. What things haven't you said to someone, or what haven't you done that you needed to do that you can actually do? I'm going to tell you, my 80-year-old uncle, he turned 80 this month. And I got a YouTube video from him the other day, jumping out of a plane. He said he has wanted to do that. And I have that YouTube video. I'll send it somewhere in a link that you guys can see it, to watch my 80-year-old uncle making a decision to jump out of a plane that he's put off all these years. He's wanted to do it. He said, what the heck, I'm going for it. And it was incredible to watch the whole thing from start to finish. So what is it that you would do? So with that, I am going to bring on Miss Anita Eno to just share her 10 things for the next 24 hours and her 10 things finishing out this year to have a different 2024.
Awesome.
Are you
Thank
there?
you. I'll just share, for me, I think of the next 24 hours, but I always have 3 goals that I go after at a time until I achieve them. And some of them are going to take me a lot longer than others. But we've already set up the trust. Me and my husband, we've already set up the trust. And those who don't know, I have 3 kids. That's 13 years ago, though. They're all adults now. Set up a trust. My oldest daughter, she knows everything. She's got all that, and she wasn't real happy that she didn't want to think about it. But you gotta have somebody who knows what they're doing. And we've set up all the wills. We've got a life insurance. We're a little older. I'm 61. So we figured all that out, especially in 2009, just like you. We're both engineers. My husband's an engineer. I was an engineer. And I had a billing company at the time. But our 401ks got hit. So we started investing. We learned how to invest like Warren Buffett. We do at least 15 to 20%. Well, we teach our kids that too. And that's one of our big things, is preparing the plans. Is not just that you do it, it's that you teach your kids how to do it. And my 2 of my kids are engineers and one's a doctor. They make great money, but my husband's an engineer too. And he just got a letter from Lockheed saying his pension was underfunded. Crazy, that you pay in. So I don't care how much money you make, how well off you are, you prepare the plan. And so my 3 goals this year, and doing it faster is better. I do 3 90-day runs a year because I want to get there as fast as I can. But is get my retirement, my residual income back up to at least over 100,000, and lose weight. Not only do I, personal, because I need to get back in shape, and I've been working on that for a while, because I need the energy. You got to have energy to achieve your goals. And I do a minimum of 50 calls a week. In a 90-day run, I double and triple that. So that's what I do. And my thing is living with no regrets and leaving a legacy. So, the top thing for me in the next 24 hours, if that were to be, would be also to, go to the beach, get a beach home. My kids live all over the place, trying to gather them all together. I have one grandbaby, 7-month-old grandbaby. So that's what it is for me. But I'm chisel every single day because I see, and after seeing also what you went through, and you're an awesome mentor for us, and I thank God for Mr. Al Thomas and for Jocelyn Driskill. I would not be doing ACN without you. I would have quit. But anyhow, that's me. I'm going to turn it back over to you. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Mrs. Zeno. She's a top producing regional director, and she will hit those goals. I have watched her since I met her, and her tireless, just consistency and diligent focus to her business is phenomenal. If you work with her side by side, you count yourself blessed. She's doing it right. She's focused on RVP, but more important, she's focused on helping all of you get to your goals. When you help other people get to their goals, your goals just happen. So if you're a servant leader, I love the word servant. Some people, it hits them in a different way, and I don't know why, because service is the highest form of love, and Mr. Thomas exemplifies that. And Mrs. Anita Eno is absolutely a servant leader. So you guys, that is a key to leadership in any business that you are, is being that example. And you are so much that example. You teach me a lot, Mrs. Eno. So thank you so much. I mean, being able to, in the next 24 hours, she wants to buy a beach house. That's one of her 10, like, do it. Because I'll tell you, this Wyoming house has been a gift for our family, where everybody comes together and be able to enjoy and love God's great earth and the beauty in Wyoming. So thank you for sharing that, Mrs. Eno. I really appreciate it. And I'm sure you help someone here add that something to their list too. Your 90-day run, those are great. Take 90 days and just run hard. Don't take your foot off the pedal. And I always tell people, hit a position, keep the foot on the pedal. Don't pull it off. Keep going. Don't stop. Stopping and starting is your worst nightmare. And you couldn't do that in a traditional business, people. You can't open your doors one day and close them the next day. It just doesn't happen. You got to be consistent and diligent. Okay, so the next person really quickly I wanted to share is Mr. Winston Herbert out of New York City. I get to work alongside of him as well, and it's such a pleasure and honor. What a gift he is, his personality. In fact, I see him as a son. He's just phenomenal. Family, all of you are family, as Mr. Thomas said. You guys make my heart smile, and I'm really excited for him to just share a few things that he has, because this man's a world traveler. I don't know that he could ever live in regret, but I know that he is more focused on his ACN business to bring time and money and its purpose, as the conversations have ensued with him and I. So, Mr. Winston, are you there? We got to unmute.
Good morning, Mrs. Driskill. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you. Awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. We're so happy and glad to have you back. And of course, as always, thanks to Mr. Thomas and Mr. Clemens as well. I'm just going to go very quickly. So I'll start with my 6-month goals first. So my first goal is to not have a job. I currently work in public health. Not have a job, have 3 to 4 sources of income, and be location independent. Second one would be at least 4 figures residually from ACN and to be RD. Third one, like you mentioned, no consumer debt and at least a credit score of 780 plus. My fourth goal is 20K in general savings, 100K in investment accounts, and over 500K net worth. 6, will trust. 7, have a daily schedule, ties in with making 5 new contacts every day, either in person or online. 8, taking consistent, measurable action, be disciplined, genuine, and be fearless. 9, accountable and / listening to my mentors. Continue to exercise 3 to 4 times a day. Continue to read, partake in personal development. And then one that I got from Mr. Thomas, of course, is to become fluent in Spanish in the next 6 months. In my 24 hours, obviously not go to work, have a will trust, spend time with my family, pray, be on the leadership call, and just, enjoy the day, have a nice dinner, something in 24 hours, Thank you so much for
Awesome.
asking me to share.
Listen, I love hearing those 10 in the next 6 months. That's incredible. That's a focus, and I know that you can do anything you set your mind to. How many of you know that you can do anything you set your mind to? And Winston, when you decide to do it, when all of you decide to do it, you'll do it. It's just giving up some of the comfortability. It's not going to be comfortable. What the heck in life is comfortable? I'm not comfortable right now. It's not comfortable to not have my loving best friend beside me. He's with me. There's no doubt our spirits are connected, and I get signs every single day. I get heart signs all the time in the clouds and all those different things. It's awesome. When you recognize things, you can actually see them, right? Whether they're flaws or they're good, right? You can see them. If you recognize it, you can see it. You can do something about what isn't good, and you can embrace what is good. And I just want you all to embrace what is good in you that God has created in you every single day, and do something. Do something. Isn't that who says that? We just Andy Andrews, right? Do something. Just do something every single day, and be consistent. I think that's the key right there, is the consistency that we lack in our daily life. And we wake up and something throws us off, and we never get it back on track. You got to get back on track. You got to have something in your brain or something that you look at that says, I got to get back on track. God, get me back on track. That's what I do. I get centered again, because it's easy to be thrown off. So really, really important. So I hope all of you are doing that, preparing the plan, looking at your next 24 hours. What are you going to do in the next 24 hours? And what are you going to do in the next 6 months that makes you different? January 1, 2024. I want to see different in all of you. I want to see it in your actions, because the only way I see it is how you act, how you're being, the results, right? You got to get results. Action is one thing, but you got to also have the results. So I want to share something with you as I end here. I watched this thing. It's called Women Evolve, and this is for men and women. And there's a hope note that came across my screen today. And I want to share this with you because it totally ties in. Of course, God did this for me. It ties in with what I'm talking about here. The hope note is give God a hard yes. Yes, it's me. It's going to be me and my family. I'm going to be the legacy leader. I'm going to be the one. It could be both of you in your family, but you need to step in, right? And then it gave a scripture to look at, Luke 6:46. Luke 6:46. And it says, why do you call me? This is God talking. Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and you do not do what I say? How many times do you call on him and then you don't do anything that he says? Right? You just put it aside. Well, the thought to this is give God a hard yes. Obeying God and giving him our complete yes sounds good until he asks us to do something that we are terrified of. What are you terrified of? ACN isn't terrifying, but making phone calls might be terrifying to you. I don't know what it is, but once you start doing it, it's not going to be terrifying anymore. And then you're going to want to do more and more and more, and it just will evolve, right? So what is that we are terrified of or have no desire to do in the first place? True obedience isn't just dishing out our yes when it's convenient or simple, but mostly when it's hard. Our yes needs to be when it's hard. It's hard for me right now, but every day, guess what I'm doing? I'm saying yes. Yes, yes, yes. Luke 6:46 proves that we are called to be children of obedience. When we stop to think about how good God's been to us, how well he loves us, and how consistent he's shown himself in our lives. He's shown himself in our lives. Are we showing up for ourselves in our lives? Then obedience is the very least we can do, right? That if he's showing himself in our lives, then obedience is the very least we can do. You may not always want to. Do you always want to? I don't always want to, but you got to push through. I talked about that last week. You got to push through. You don't want to, because that's the enemy keeping you back from your greatest. In fact, surrendering may be the hardest thing you will ever do, but he deserves your yes. Does he deserve your yes? Does he deserve your yes? Prayer. I want to put this prayer in your heart. God, you've been so good and merciful to me. Help me surrender my plans and desires to you daily so that my life is pleasing in your sight. Father, allow me to align myself with your will while granting me strength and courage to persistently obey. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. And what we should declare over this is, no matter where God calls me, my answer is yes. Yes. So put your hope to work. Imagine if we did what God asked us to do the first time. Where would you be today if we did what he asked us the first time? Shoot, I know. I know exactly where I'd be today. As you move through the week, be sensitive to what God is saying, especially when he is making a demand on you. Instead of receiving God's instruction with resistance, yield to it immediately. Remember, obedience is better than sacrifice. What you do today, you'll have less sacrifice later. Trust me. So that's really what I wanted to go over today with all of you, so that you guys could kind of really bring it back again from last week and instill it in your heart. Get back to writing those down, seeing them, applying them, working on them consistently, being obedient to what you said you were going to do long before the feeling left you, right? You got to be your word. I think your word is everything. That's integrity. So if you say, when people quit, I don't care what they quit, ACN, anything. When you quit, you're not your word. If you said it and you said yes, see it through. Besides that, here in ACN, when you say yes and you bring people in with you here, which is family, and you're helping them grow a business, and then you quit on them, that right there, I can't even have a conversation about. So that's another time, another training. But I'm just telling you, don't be a quitter, because you're quitting on you. So every day say yes to God, but you're saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your dreams. You're saying yes to your purpose. You're saying yes to your future. You're saying yes to your legacy that you're going to leave. And get conviction. Like I said, this girl is going to lead this legacy. It will feel like it never even stopped for a second. That heartbeat continues, and it will continue till the day my breath is taken. Have that conviction in your life. And no matter what happens in your life, you remember that, because that's what I'm having to remember every day I wake up and get out of bed and put those 2 feet on the floor and tell the enemy, you don't got me. This girl's going, right? So lead that way with passion and purpose, and you will see a life that will be thriving, and it'll be a well-lived life, and people will be talking about you. People will be inspired by you. People will be impacted by you because you said yes. So with that, Mr. Thomas, I'm giving it back to you.